All right, folks, good morning. It's 9 o'clock, so let's jump in. Thank you for tuning in for another session of Coffee PD. I know I talked to a lot of you during the week that there was a different emphasis for today. I've been digging very deep into assessments as a way to solve a lot of the problems that we're having as far as how to create self-grading, fill-in-the-blank activities, how to do drag and drop activities that do not require Google, and how to give PDF activities that, number one, the kids don't have to download and upload, and number two, that parents can look at the work the students turned in. But we had a deep pivot about 10:30 last night for a few different reasons, and I was asked to change the session today to conferences. So what I was planning to do with assessments, that blue puzzle piece, that will be the topic for next Friday. So just thinking ahead, I know a lot of our elementary teachers started with assessments. So a lot of the things I'm discovering, they were probably already experts at, but I think at the secondary level, a lot of us just went straight quiz test because it's far more user-friendly. But it has been, I don't want to say life-changing, but definitely virtual teaching changing to see the things that I could do with assessments. So let's visit that next week. And today, though, we're going to kind of rewind and go back to conferences because we do have a few things going on. So in August, we did a workshop on conferences, and then there is a video posted on conferences also. But number one, we still have some teachers at different levels of struggle with conferencing. So I think getting back to some of the foundations, now that you guys have had a chance to be in there for 3 weeks, will be helpful for some of our staff. But also, since all those trainings, we have upgraded to their Premier package with Big Blue Button. So there's some features available now that were not before during the different trainings that we did. So we do want to visit those to make sure you're utilizing them as much as possible. And then also, I kind of need to know where our struggles are with conferences because I want to have a sit down via Zoom with Big Blue Button, someone in their tech help to kind of walk through what the problems are we are having and if there's anything that we can do differently. So typically when I do these types of workshops, I spend like 3, 4, 2 weeks preparing like 8 pages of notes that I totally forget to follow. But like I said, this kind of came to birth last night at about 10:30 p.m. So that didn't happen. So it is by far a much more casual discussion. So by all means, I am very sincere with interrupt, ask questions, tell us what's worked well, where do we need help at, because leaving from here, again, anything I need to seek answers to that we collectively couldn't come up to, I'm going to make that my priority this afternoon. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and split screens. Okay, I'll come back to that. There we go. All right, and while our last folks are wandering in, I'm going to share a video, a TikTok that Jason did with me last night. I am not part of the TikTok evolution, but he showed this to me right about the time I realized today's conference was changing, and it seems very timely. So I'm trying to make sure all my volumes are on.
Go back to school, whether it's hybrid or regular school, whether it's October or January, I don't know what my children look like because instance, I got like 25% of my students just showing me nostrils, all up in there. I'm talking about bugs hanging on for dear life. 25% of them are in a dark room looking like a conspiracy show on Netflix. Got a bunch of foreheads. Let's not forget that my camera doesn't work, kids. And the cheek ear shoulder combo. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. So children, when you go back to school and your teachers don't know your names, don't be upset. You know what I've been thinking about? If or when we go.
Okay, don't have the answers for those problems, but I just, we're all trying to approach this with a little bit of humor. Okay, so I think this is the class that I'm going to go into for us to set up the conference that we're going to work with. And I am trying to keep the chat window visible, but it keeps disappearing with all the tabs I have open. So shout out if we absolutely need to stop and, pause and talk about something, because again, no real agenda today. I'm a very agenda-driven person. I collect day planners. They're my security blanket. All right, so we're going to go in. We're going to create a conference. And again, I know this is going to be strong review of some skills, but I do hope that everyone, now that you have had a chance to be in there for 3 weeks, can kind of take away something or give something. Because again, my approach to everything Schoology up until this year was as a teacher. And I've taught exclusively seniors for a few years. And now in my teaching role now, I only have the DC students. So I feel like I'm so far removed from a lot of the experience that you guys have. And especially when I start working with like my kindergarten and first grade teachers, and it's a whole new world for me. So I know you guys are experiencing some problems that I've never even encountered. So let's see what we can figure out. All right. Oh, and I created a student. So let me open this up, and then I'm going to add my student, because this morning I logged into my own conference as a student and realized a lot of the...
You are currently the only person in this conference.
A lot of the cool things I thought I was doing, they can't even see. All right, so that's set up. Let me go in here and log in as a student. Okay. All right. Let me think. Let me.
You are now muted.
I have to figure out some things here. Is that better? Hello? Okay, there we go. Woo! Okay, here I'm going to type over here in the chat. I don't know if the boss is watching. Turn your head if you are. There is a new student, not really, but there's a new student account, and his 3, 4, 5, 6. His student ID number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So on the other side of this, if you wanted to add new student to your class, so you could go in and look at it from both perspectives. At some point, PowerSchool is going to sync and new students probably going to be expelled. But for right now, it's an account I created this morning to kind of see what do they see. And some of it was surprising to me. So let's walk across the page. I just saw what Jen wrote. Lord. And then I get worried, like, like if I like wipe my nose or anything, like, what does that look like? Okay. Here's one of the things I didn't realize, that I thought when I, do things like this to make it bigger, that the student screens get bigger, and they don't. So like, for example, I think now I have this big screen to work with, but I'll be really horrible and I can't see myself to know what you can see. How can I get to my cell phone here? I can't. Okay, there we are. So their screen still has the chat window, the user window, all of those things on it. So what I thought I was doing to make my presentation bigger to them didn't matter at all. So that was kind of a new perspective to me this morning, that I was just kind of wasting my time doing that. And even, let's see here, just yesterday, okay, according to the folks I have talked with on the Big Blue Button helpline, it doesn't matter whether we go in low quality or high quality with our camera. That if I know one of the big problems we're experiencing is that students can't see the cameras, and you know, one of the first troubleshooting ideas was to, you know, come in with lesser resolution. Didn't matter. But yesterday in class, I was playing around with like these things, and you know, making the pictures bigger when we were discussing things, and making the pictures smaller when we were using the presentations. Didn't move on the students at all. So I thought I discovered something really cool in that, but it was only for my view. But at the same time, I know a lot of our elementary teachers are logging onto 2 devices, so you can see your students and see the board. Whereas, I mean, you could also, I didn't realize till yesterday, you can kind of click and drop and drag this stuff to make it bigger or smaller, but it doesn't change the student view whatsoever. All right, I am gonna pop over here and see, what do we have? Okay, so how to change from tab to tab without having to go out, a share screen, and go back in. I don't think you can. If anyone has figured a workaround for that, please chime in. I think that's, to me, the biggest pain, especially if you're loading a lot of material and then you have to do it for each conference. So, I mean, I strongly suggest if you can make one ongoing document for the sake of conferences, that helps some, that you can just flip through the screen. But yeah, I'm definitely finding like that it's not fluid, right? That you have to share screen, stop sharing screen, share new screen, stop sharing screen. And I haven't found a workaround for that. All right, breakout rooms, we will cover that. Nose picking 6th grader we got. We normally log onto the computer and the iPad so we can see the student view on the iPad. But are you logged in as a teacher? Okay, so you on the desktop is the presenter. Does it treat your second login as a student login?
I feel like it does, because normally when it shows up on my iPad, then my kids see it too, where it comes up on my computer first. Okay,
and that's another point too, because some of the trouble calls I've had have been teachers that my mic has disappeared, or I don't have the ability to screen share. And if you're signing in twice, only one of those accounts is the presenter. So sign into the device first that you actually want to screen share and have all your tools, or else you can just come over here to the user list and make yourself presenter, and then those buttons will show up on the device that you prefer. Got it. When I share my screens, the kids can't see me, it's just arrows spinning. It is my understanding that's a connectivity issue. And that is the #1 topic that I'm seeking advice on. I'll show you one way that I found to help with that, but you're giving up a lot in trade. Okay, so if the kids leave and come back, that new entry sometimes helps. Hitting refresh sometimes help. Okay, interactive PowerPoint, is that what you mean, Christina? Like you want them to click things on your screen and they can't?
What I mean is when I upload a PowerPoint and certain things on the PowerPoint slide to the left or slide to the right, those options aren't available. For example, like a math problem, step by step, if I can hit the space bar on my laptop, one of those steps will appear or disappear. And when I upload it in Schoology, all those features are gone.
Okay, so it's not that you're trying to get the students to do it, but you yourself as a presentation are losing some of those PowerPoint features.
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to check on that.
Okay.
I know that they strongly suggest exporting PowerPoints to PDF, which would knock out those features anyway.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering, can you open the PowerPoint on your laptop and then do share application and then just show it that way?
Like share screen?
Well, let me look here.
Share application is a new term for me.
Okay, are you coming in through Chrome?
Always.
Okay, can you see where I don't know which, if it comes up to you guys, can you see where it says share your screen on my share screen? Probably not, you would know what I'm saying. Okay, so when you hit share screen on Chrome, this is why I love Chrome, it comes up with 3 options: share entire screen,
Right.
application window, or Chrome tab.
Right.
So application window will give you the option of sharing anything you have open on your laptop. So if you open that PowerPoint on your laptop, it's going to come up there as an option for you to share it. So you wouldn't actually be uploading it to Schoology. It would be like when you share a tab, but you're sharing it from your computer screen versus Chrome.
Okay.
So I would try that. I'm going to
Okay.
myself to see.
I have clicked before in a conference the wrong option, and it shows like 1,000 of my screens. Which
That's
is
your entire screen. And
that's psychedelic, but I'm like, whoa, guys, hold on. Okay.
No. Yeah, that if you share your entire screen, it has that funnel effect, which is why I like Chrome, because in Firefox, to me, it almost defaults to that. Like you have to fight with it not to do that. So whereas Chrome to me is so easy to share your tabs and but not so much to bounce between them. So try share application. I made a note, so I'm gonna try it after this before I call for help to see if that answers anything. All right, I'm gonna bounce around back over here a little bit and then come back to chat in a second. All right, so next we have ability to share notes. I have personally not used this. If anyone has effectively used this, I would love to hear how you're doing it. You have the ability to make this only what you post, or you have the ability to make this interactive. So one of the ways that I thought it could be helpful, like when we ask kids to answer something in chat, it kind of, like today, right? It gets lost in the stream of questions and comments and emojis I'm learning. But if we had like shared notes and they were posting like a response, an opinion, a question here, it kind of protects that from the general chat window. So I can go in maybe and see more targeted responses. I know Miss Bay last year, she would put the bullets of whatever her lecture that day was going to be about, like what the big ideas were. I just personally haven't used it, but if you look, you have the option to download these notes. So if you had kids post responses here or even post their questions about today, you could download it and have that file versus that, chat transcript, which could be all over the place during that 45 minutes. So I think there could be purpose for it. Has anyone used this or can think of another reason we might want to? I need to. My seniors are not at all interactive. They're excellent students, but I mean, every one of those memes about, having the seance and calling like, Mark, are you here, is what I feel like daily with them. All right. So shared notes, think about it this upcoming week as you're planning for next week. You know, what is something you want to take away from your chat? And here's a place, again, this shows up to the kids just like it does to us. And I'm going to show you how you can make it so it's just what you put there, or you can make it so that the kids can interactively comment there. And I think, you know, if you think about what are some of the things you're having them put in chat, maybe this is a better place for it. Almost just as if you have questions, type them here instead of chat, especially if you have a really active chat. So I think it has purpose, and it's something worth considering. All right, here's where we pop into some of the features that change with our upgrade Big Blue Button. And so I wanted to touch on it.
Oh, I was going to ask a question real quick. Is there any way in the notes? Oh, you can. Never mind. I just saw the download button. The kids and I normally yeah, I know. I'll normally have somebody take notes as I'm talking, and then the kids like to, oh, don't forget she said this. Don't forget this thing too. And then I was trying to figure out the other day, I was like, is there a download button? But it was like end of the day kind of deal. And I can use it for kids that miss the stuff that day if they don't want to watch the video or they just want to kind of recap what they did, that kind of deal. So
yeah, I think that's excellent. I mean, yeah, I really see purpose there. I mean, I think about myself when I go back and narrate my own videos and put my timestamps and right, yeah, I think that's great. Okay, so let's look here at users, this little gear, and this is going to give you some new options that we've not actively used before moving to Big Blue Button. So when the students come in, see how it says this student is locked? And early on, you know, we were unlocking them and not really sure why we were unlocking them. And then my workaround for them to see each other was to make them moderator, or otherwise they couldn't. And then, I don't know, Jasmine's on here, but I guess like the second day of school or something, a second grader just ended the conference because, you know, she was moderator. And I'm sure she didn't realize what she was doing, but we have a lot more options now that we didn't have before. So if you've not gone in there and played with it, it wouldn't have been part of any of their trainings. So these have always been there. So you can click here to mute all users, but they can still unmute themselves. If one of your students is presenting, excuse me, this would let the person who's supposed to speak still speak, but again, that student could choose to unmute themselves. If you have them do some type of status, like, you know, thumbs up or thumbs down, you know, undecided, whatever it might be, and then you want it, you just click here to clear all those. I personally don't, to me, they're so hard to see. Let me have new student give a thumbs up. So, I mean, I guess if you're specifically looking for them, you can see them, but if I care enough to ask them to do thumbs up or thumbs down, and I really care about it, I'm probably gonna throw a poll out there because I don't think that's very visible. But if all my students were doing that, before I ask them to do it again, I wanna clear them. Here is, oh, and this used to be the only way for us to track attendance, and it would take a screenshot of the students who were currently in the room, but it would only be those currently in the room. And so you would have to do it multiple times during class just to make sure. We don't have to worry with that anymore. But right here is where we have some new options that we haven't seen before. Okay, because it's a pop-up, I'm not sure. So did lock viewer screen come up to you all? Yes, awesome, great. Sometimes the pop-ups do and sometimes they don't. So what you dictate here is what determines what is locked. It does not, it's not an ongoing setting, so you do have to use it at every conference. But it's really quick once you figure out what you want to lock. So if you want them to be able to share their webcam, it's unlocked. But right here is the one that's new to us. You know, how do we make it so the kids can see each other? If I unlock the ability to see others' webcams, they now can all see each other without any extra steps. Because again, my extra steps work great with my college seniors, not so much with the younger kids who we just gave complete control of the classroom. So with the upgraded big blue button right here, you can unlock the ability to see each other, and anyone's webcam that comes up, your view is their view. Here, share microphone is how you silence your class. So you can mute all users over here, but they can still unmute themselves. So if you really need to lock down that class and keep them quiet, here is where you would lock that microphone and they can't turn it on. Now, again, you could go, like, you could do that for like the 20 minutes that I'm going to talk and then click over here real quick and unlock it. But if you have, there's no way to do it with one specific student. Like I can't just lock down that one that always interrupts. But if I really need this 20 minutes to get across what I need to get across, I can lock down all mics and then unlock it on the other side for questions. I did have some teachers at the high school, but I'm thinking it's not just a high school request. How can we get rid of this chat? Because again, you know, if you click it close, that's just your screen. It's still there. If you need to shut down that chat so the kids can't stream emojis, chit chat, be off task, we right here would lock public chat. And then that chat box just isn't there. They can't type in it. Private messages used to be concerning to me because it used to be the kids could message each other. I don't know what the mindset with that was, because one of the benefits of why we use Schoology is because it's so secure and who can enter your conference. That's no longer the case. So I do suggest that if you're going to close public chat, at least leave private chat open. But that's just like Zoom. It gives them the ability to send a message straight to you, or you to send a message straight to them. This is the one going back to the notes that I was just talking about. So right now it's locked, meaning I'm the only one that can type there. But if I unlock it, then my students can put messages in those notes too, that area that's going to be curated. And then during summer school, I wish this was an option, because we had mandatory attendance in summer school, but that message wasn't communicating very clearly. So most of my classes had 1 or 2 kids in them. So I would teach them as if it was like a full class, looking like a fool. So, you know, if I hide this, then they can't see who else is present in the class. So there might be purpose for that. All right, so I'm gonna leave everything unlocked just in case we wanna use any of these features as we're bouncing around. But the big one I think here is allowing them to see each other's cameras. Do you wanna shut down those microphones for a while? And then what do you wanna do with chat? All right, and I unlocked everything. So he is no longer locked. But if I left a couple of what features are locked, it would show him as still locked. But let's say I only left private chat locked. He would show locked, but I can look at that menu and see, and it's real quick. So again, if I have chat shut down, and okay, now I want them to be able to share the microphone, click apply, it's that quick just to open it back up. So when they're coming in locked, that's what it's referred to. You said it, but you have to do it every single conference differently. You can save a transcript of your chat, but it's like a TXT file and it's not very user friendly. So if you think you want to save something, do the shared notes. It shows up almost like a Word doc. It's much easier to actually use. All right. Right here. Okay, so Rob, I'm guessing you're on. I got your text, and I know Rob did this yesterday. This is something else that Big Blue, the upgrade, allows us to do, because one of the reasons we're staying with Schoology versus Zoom or Google Meets or all those other people who are still showing up in the news is no one can get in this classroom unless they're a PowerSchool user. When you go in through a parent view, it's conferences doesn't even show up. It's almost like you're in through the app. So even a parent can't go back and join a conference or watch the conferences. But with this upgrade, we can now give someone this web address that is specific to that conference. All right, and I know Mr. Overstreet did that yesterday. Are you here, Rob? Can you talk a little about that?
Yeah, I'm here. Basically, what I did was I had a professor from MIT come in to talk to my students about the stars, and so for most of this week, I was stressing over how I was going to do this, whether we were going to do it on Zoom, whether we were going to do, and I kind of played around with the invite guest day before yesterday, and actually ended up inviting my daughter. She did not know she was coming into a full class, but so when she turned her video on, she was a little embarrassed. But yeah, I played around with it. But basically, all you have to do is copy that invite. Yeah, copy that invite. I emailed it to the professor, which, was at MIT. So I emailed it to her, and she was able to use the link to get on, and it worked. It worked perfectly. Now, obviously, she was coming into 2 different classes. So I had to, once the first class was over, I had to start the second class and then send her the link. So, I mean, you have to start the class before you send the link. So you can't, unfortunately, you can't plan ahead and send it to them the day before or anything, because you got to start the class first. But as soon as you start the class and send the link, it didn't take her any time to get in. And then, of course, once she was in, I just made her the presenter, and it worked out great. Both classes, my first 2 sessions that she was in. Oh yeah, actually, yeah. And my wife just reminded me of this. During the first class, her computer crashed, and I was really stressed out because I'm thinking, oh great, am I going to have to send different? But she was able to use the same link to get right back on as soon as she got her computer up and working again. So even if it does crash, they can come right back in, and it worked really well. It went wonderful.
Awesome. And I actually, a couple of applicabilities that I think could be useful for this. Jason actually was the first one that tried this. I haven't used it yet, but he had a student who missed their scheduled class time. So they were going to come in later in the second shift because we didn't want to come in during another class time, but they're not enrolled in that class, so they can't come into that conference. So he was able to, on Remind, send that student this link, and he could come in to a different class than the one he was enrolled in. So that could have applicability. And then when we were talking about it, I thought about, what about with parents, right? So a parent through a child account could come in, but let's say you want to do a one-on-one with a parent, you could go on Remind, open Remind in one tab, copy this, pop it in there, and then a parent could come in for a face-to-face conference too. So I think that, it just definitely was guest speakers, because to me that was one of the downfalls versus Zoom. It was shareable screen or screen takeover, and the ability to bring in people outside, and this eliminates that. So you can bring anyone with that code into that conference, but it does need to be a live conference. All right. What else is on this agenda? All right, I'm gonna come back to chat in just a second. I realize I've given some horrible advice very recently even to sharing videos. And so I've been playing around with that and trying to figure it out. So if you're going to play a video, let's say via YouTube, you'll have 2 options, right? So I could come down here and I could share my screen, have a tab at the top, share the tab, play it on YouTube, which is what I have always done. But I didn't realize until other teachers started following my advice that it doesn't share the sound. So you have to actively be watching it with the students because they're actually hearing the sound through your laptop speaker. So here's the workaround to it. If I come down here and share an external video and put in the YouTube address here, then the audio of this is now playing directly on their device or onto their device. But you know what? I also realized this. I haven't shown this video in like 2 months. So, because here's the reason I was avoiding it. Okay, does he stop? Okay, here's the reason I was avoiding it. Because you have to upload for presentations every single time, every single class. So, for those of you doing the 3-hour stretch, maybe not such a big deal, but for those of us here, or those of you who have, 4 classes back to back, and then 4 classes back to back again, is that you have to upload and upload and upload for each class. Whereas if you have a tab open, I could have just left that tab open all day. And that's why that was a better choice to me. But I didn't realize until other teachers were trying that, that they were actually listening via my speakers. But if you do it here instead, this makes the sound play directly on their speakers. But look, it's saving it because this is the one I put in there this morning to practice it. This is the one I did back in August. So that helps some. So those of you who have to upload for multiple classes, it'll save the cookies of what you uploaded before. So it will be a little bit quicker that way. But like some people are pointing out in chat, the downfall is that you have to constantly upload these different materials. All right, so we get a lot going over in chat. So I'm gonna pop over there and see what we can address. All right, when doing polls while sharing a worksheet, the student's view of the poll is in the middle of the sheet. Oh, let me start a poll. Oh, I see that. And we can't do anything about that. Okay. Or all the way at the bottom of the screen, they're not able to answer the questions because they can, okay. All right, so do you guys understand what Miss Roach is saying there? Because I did not realize that was a problem. So, because here's the only thing I don't like about polls is it's too time consuming to specialize them. So my workaround has been to put up a slide that tells you what ABCD is, because then it's a lot quicker just to throw up that poll. Just closing everything here, and have the kids answer it that way. But let me show you. I don't know which screen I'm on, but so this is my student view, and this is the poll. So it has the potential of covering the questions when you do that. And I did not realize that and the student can't move anything around. So that unfortunately means if you wanted to have specialized answers, you're gonna have to tab, come over here and do a custom poll and quickly type in what do you want those options to be, so they're not relying on the screen share and the poll. And I didn't realize that, so that's a little unfortunate. Is anyone else who's using polls? Any advice?
We, this is Ansley Allen. We figured out the other day that when you share like a worksheet and then you publish the poll, that you have to get rid of the worksheet in order for the kids to be able to see the results. Because we were like, where's the box?
Gotcha. Okay.
Miss McHenry, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, Sheila Roach, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. All right, so like the other day I was sharing a map of the bordering states of Virginia, and I did go in and customize my my answer choices for my poll, because the map was like numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so I had all the bordering states as the answer choices. And so when I asked them, you know, what is bordering state number 1, they couldn't see it because the answer choices that I had sent them was in the middle of the map.
Okay.
So I did go through and use the customized ABC. So I didn't know if there was any way around that. I tried to see if they could move it, and then I found out that they did not have that option to do so.
Yeah, they don't have, I mean, like I said, I'm not honestly logged in as a student until today. They just have no control whatsoever. I mean, their screen, no matter even what we do on our screen, I didn't realize they don't see any of that.
Right. Okay.
So.
Thank you.
And there's no way to save polls. I'm trying to think. So you'd have to redo that each class.
Yeah, I had to redo it for each class, and if I wanted to change my content, I had to redo my answer choices also for my poll. But then after I saw they couldn't see the worksheet, I didn't know what else to do.
Right. Okay, so that's definitely, if you're going to use polls, keep that in mind. Rachel, yes. So private message is only between instructor and student now. So if you turn that on, which I kind of think we need to do, because, you know, how often do students come back later and say, I didn't want to ask this during class, but, you know, I'm even having that with teachers that, you know, I do an in-service and then I get a stream of messages after the in-service. I didn't want to ask this, but, and so maybe that private chat feature will help with some of those students who won't openly communicate, to kind of give us a heads up when there's something going on we should know. Excuse me. All right, so okay, so Ms. Roach, you're looking to do more interactive things in conferences or with students in general?
We were trying to look for things to do with them in conferences. Like on Jamboard, I had made a KWL chart, and I wanted them to use the sticky notes to tell me what they had already learned, what they already knew about circles. And then the next day we were gonna do the sticky notes for them to tell me what they had learned new. And then after I got in there, I saw that they couldn't manipulate the sticky notes. So I just had them put what they learned and stuff in the chat, and then I put it on the sticky note and moved it that way. I just thought it would have been fun if they could have done their own sticky note. So things like that. The Seesaw, we can't use it in conferences, but they can use it in their activities. And then it, you know, kind of gives us the results that we were looking for. But as far as like doing something quick to see what they know that's interactive in conferences, other than the whiteboard, sometimes that can get a little messy when they all can write on it. So I was just wondering if you knew of any other sites out there that could be something we could use in conferences.
I made a note. I have an elementary teacher in mind that I'm going to ask to do a coffee PD, because her online classes are very interactive, and she's using like Jamboard and Boom cards and all these things that are foreign to me. So I'll work on seeing what I can figure out there. Personally, I send my kids over to a shared Google slide. But again, I think that's the age difference that my kids can handle. Well, they'll end up splitting their screen and they'll have Google on one side and the conference on the other. And I don't even know how they do that. But they're able to pop out, you know, go answer some things on the Google slide that they're all sharing, and it's showing up live in conference. But the idea of popping out and doing that and popping back into conference, I know as a mom, is an issue that elementary teachers aren't quite there to do that. So I'm gonna marinate on that one,
Okay.
unless anyone has anything to throw out there now.
Thank you.
Oh, sure. Especially when we have an answer to how long this will be our primary teaching. Okay, the only negative to sharing the video is that you cannot prepare ahead. I agree. And I really wish your resources carried over to different conferences, but at least with that video, it does save the cookies, so that's good. Is there any workaround for URLs that you cannot upload? And what, Mr. Allen, what have you run into that you can't upload? If you share a video, should you mute your mic? I don't, well, I'm getting, the kids should be muted. The kids are muted, you're fine. If the kids are unmuted and you're unmuted, you're gonna get that echo back and forth. So I would probably mute all users, share videos so we don't have that happening.
Miss McHenry, I was talking about, like, yesterday I was shown a documentary and I used Prime Video for the documentary. And so it's not supported for the URL, you know, the external upload. And so I still have, so I was like, so I have to leave my mic on so they can hear the video. So it's like the workaround for those types of URLs.
I don't think we're going to be, I mean, because honestly, we're breaking copyright law doing it. So I don't think we're going to have a workaround. So I think the workaround is sharing the tab and leaving your mic on is the only way you're going to be able to pull, like, from Prime Video, Netflix, things like that. So I think you figured it out, but I think that's the only option we have with those.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think we kind of touched on that one. They couldn't see the video unless I shared the screen. See, Melissa, and that's what, I think that's why I started doing the share screen, because when you're uploading the presentation, it does take a wider bandwidth. So, I mean, you're gonna really have to, as a teacher, play with it and see where where your benefit versus cost is, right? Because it takes, I don't wanna, I'm not this techie, so I don't want to speak wrongly. But it appears to take more bandwidth to upload a video and have it play on the student side. And I guess because there's kind of like a double process versus sharing my tab. So my students with a slow connection see the video better if I share my tab, but then the cost of that is they don't have sound and have to listen to it through my speaker. So, I mean, both are effective methods. It's just which one do you want to trade for which? All right. I'm really reading fast. So Pear Deck's a great idea. You know what? Let me take a note of that. And I know Jamie plans on doing a PD next week on Nearpod. And I've been more Pear Deck than Nearpod, but that I think could also, we are on the tech side trying to be very cautious of putting one more thing on y'all. But for those of you who are ready to, what's the next step, I think Pear Deck and Nearpod might be it. And I might actually have like a expert in Pear Deck that I could bring in. All right, when I'm sharing external video. Yep. Oh. Okay, so Jen pointed out something that I haven't heard of bamboozle. I'm gonna take a note of that. If you are one of these teachers using these things and you would like to host the Coffee PD, please let me know. Because in my world of writing college essays, I don't have to, my kids tease me if I try to get all cheesy and do a lot of this stuff. They're like, let's just get the work done. So I don't get the experience to practice a lot of this stuff. Like I made a Bitmoji classroom that's like me at Starbucks, and yeah, they joked on me about that. So I don't have a chance to interact with a lot of the things you guys do. So by all means, if you're just using these things and can hop on here one Friday and show us what you're doing with it, I think it'll be a great help to other folks who are not using it. All right. Miss Han pointed out something I was not aware of, that in talking about the private chat changes the direction of this. So if you guys didn't catch it in the chat, if you're recording your session, which of course we are, you're recording your chat screen. So kids who are privately chatting to you are going to be in that chat screen. So those watching back the recording would see those private messages to you, the teacher, because the recording is from the teacher's point of view. So that changes everything for me. So I almost think I would not personally open private, because they can always send me a little envelope of a private message that no one else has access to. So thank you for pointing that out. I hadn't thought, I mean, I haven't used it and I haven't thought about it. I'm like, why am I not using it? That's a good reason not to use it. All right, is there any way to get rid of the big blue button screen? I think someone already answered you, but we're gonna look at that in a second. And then, I'm not familiar with boom cards. Is anyone using boom cards in conferences? And I think a lot of these things we're using are like the free versions. I do think we have the ability to ask for some more integrated options, but we just got to figure out which ones we want to use and which ones are user-friendly and which ones will actually apply. And then I will gladly go fight that fight to see which ones we can get official with. I'm feeling good about Edpuzzle. That's where I'm putting like the little pockets of extra time I have right now. Because it's going to answer a lot of the YouTube problems that are going to show up once the kids are back in class. All right, so let's come back over to the screen. So I am leaving off of boom cards when I return to chat, so I see where we stop. So let me move all my stuff out of the way. Okay, my screen is too small, so things have disappeared on me. All right, so to get rid of the whiteboard, we can simply hit the minus sign, and unfortunately it does that. And then if we want to restore that presentation board, it's right here, and it'll bring up whatever the last presentation was. And again, see, I thought this was a screen the kids were seeing, but their screen looks like it has all along. This is just for my purposes. So, you know, make it as large as you need to. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, we should look at statistics. Okay, so upload presentation. And remember, you can go ahead and upload as many as you want. Whichever one has that green arrow is the one it'll show. So remember, default means your whiteboard. So when you want to close it, click back to that. But that was something. I just closed out my daggone conference. Give me a second. That's the problem having all these tabs open, right? Let's go through this again.
You are now muted.
Okay. Lost track with what I was saying. Okay. So I thought when I was coming in and getting rid of this big board, because I'm tired of looking at the advertising for Big Blue Button when we paid for the nicest Big Blue Button there is. But it doesn't take it away from the kids. I don't even know why I'm bothering to do that. I'm sorry, it's habit. So even though I have no, their views exactly the same. So if you have not done this, I really suggest going in and looking at the kids' view, because a lot of things that I thought I was doing to change their experience was only changing mine. And so one of the things that has affected me with that is that if getting rid of this doesn't get rid of them on their screen, I'm going to make sure I have a start screen each week before I go in, which I know is what a lot of our teachers are already doing. But again, with the level that personally I'm teaching at, I don't need to go throw up an agenda. But even if it's just, you know, pictures of today's topic or something that, you know, this screen is like the albatross of Schoology for me. Like, I hate seeing the screen every time I log in. All right, something else that was pointed out to me. So I had Benjamin log into class to figure a few things out. And when I went up here and I logged out, he stayed in my class and was like drawing all over the screen. So it just didn't occur to me. But if you log out, okay, you have to start the class. So no matter what time the class is scheduled, until you hit start conference, nothing's happening. There's no waiting room. The kids aren't there without you. If you leave, if you log out, that class is still going on whether or not you're in there. And I didn't realize that. So when you are done, you need to make sure you end the meeting so all the kids are then kicked out too. That's just something I didn't realize at first. Okay, I was curious about that. So again, I made my screen huge, did nothing to my student screen. Up here though, this is the one I was saying that you have to decide what you're willing to trade. Because under data savings, it will make your conference easier to log into if you turn off everyone's webcam and if you turn off certain things, but then you're trading having those available to the students who can use it. So I don't know. Okay, so let's flip over. I think that's everything that I wanted to cover here. You know, these are all the same as they were previously before, especially with that multi-tool. So if you think about your smart board activities and things that you wanted to be interactive with, what way can we tweak it that the kids simply writing on it can do that? You know, so, you know, they can't push an A, B, C, D, but they can, you know, circle or X or something there. All right, so let's end this meeting, which is going to kick everyone out. And let's pop over and look at some statistics, which is, I think, to me, the absolute biggest benefit of this upgraded membership. So, my scroll has disappeared. The reason that we started investigating the upgraded membership was that ability to keep the recordings after 7 days. And personally, I didn't have an investment in that. I don't think I teach anything that kids will want to revisit in 7 days. But I was really excited when I saw the statistics come up. So I'm going to share what classes should not be. So these are going to be some really boring statistics. This is for my DC class yesterday. Thursday is a straight 45-minute lecture. So it's everything that you should not be doing in virtual learning. But again, the pedagogy is far different because this is my Paul D class. Feedback from any of y'all that have found this helpful or problems with it, I would love to know. So I think it's great to visit for attendance. It's going to mark, here's the one I was looking for, each time a student comes in. So students, they're really trying to be in class, but they have internet that's coming and going and coming and going. Here's where you can kind of figure out how legitimate that is versus are they just like showing up and leaving because they're done with it for the day. Activity score, I've tried to figure out what counts under this. And I looked this up on the help desk, and it says if they raise their hand, they speak, so they unmute themselves and speak, they put something in the chat window or share an emoji. I think I've had emojis in my class once. That's what records there. So that's where that activity score is coming from. And so like I said, this is definitely an example of what not to do, because yesterday was very much just tune in for my lecture. So this is my student who had a bad connectivity, and so she has a really high score because it was triggering each time she was coming and going as activity. So I don't know how helpful that is, but to me, this is whatever it is we're doing with attendance. I'm not going to speak beyond my pay grade, is good documentation that you can download. And if you Google it, there's ways to change the CSV into an Excel spreadsheet or something else if you want to. All right, I think that is everything there. So I am going to come back to big window and let's look at chat. And if anyone wants to share anything on their screen, I can turn the screen over to you. Okay. Half day to make these. Okay, Laura, I understand what you're saying. Look at total participation holdups. And you may have noticed that some conferences yesterday have disappeared, even if they were already recorded. That was one of the things leading to a shift in today's plan, that there were some problems with Schoology yesterday, and it's happened. I think maybe this is the second time since we started. So, there's always going to be glitches we have to work around. But one of the glitches that happened yesterday, that if you were doing an upload download, or they were doing an upload download during the window, that there were problems. My conference still hasn't shown up from that time, so it may just be lost. Amanda, did yours ever show up? Because yours was a morning one, right? And it didn't show up. Okay. Okay. Wish the whiteboard was bigger. I wonder, is anyone using what? I don't know how these work. But like in the different tech pages I'm on Facebook, they talk about whiteboard apps. And I don't know if that's something that is immersive. I don't know. But do remember that they are working with a stylus on an iPad that's functioning as a note of paper. So our view of it becomes very cluttered with everything else going on. It's a little bit better for them. And then also, see, and I want to do a PD on integrating Google, even if they can't have accounts. I've found some workarounds with that. And so then you could have a Google slide, which would take up the whole screen, that they could write all over as if it was a whiteboard and share that slide when you guys share the link. So I do have a workaround for it. I might do a quick vid on that for some of you who want to jump in there and try it before we train on it. Okay, oh, Miss Roche is a little bit ahead of me. Okay. I'm trying to make my chat bigger because I can't see a lot of the stuff. There we go. I can't see a lot of the stuff in here. Okay, got that. Is there a way of utilizing the entire iPad screen when writing on it? I make the iPad the presenter and I'm only able to write on a section of it. You, as the presenter, you should be able to do that click and drag, close your chat, close the chat, close the user list, and then open. So you should be able to make your white screen for your usability almost a full iPad. The view of the student will not change, but if you need it for your own purposes, just do that drag out So it takes up a larger space, close chat, close the list so you don't see it. And that should take up almost your full screen as far as being able to use it. Okay. That was a thing on my problem list. Okay, so is third session at the middle school live teaching? Okay. See, because I was trying to figure out what can we do as teachers to verify our third session students are getting what they need, but it's like every school is doing something different. So if third session is being taught live, you can go look at statistics. So that's good. Okay. Doesn't help us, those of us using it as a recording though. We've got to find a different workaround for that. Okay, I think that's it. When you use the Zoom buttons in conferences, the students see it. Which buttons? Oh, Laura, was that, okay, total participation. I didn't get that that was like the proper noun there, that was a thing. I'm gonna check that out. I've not heard of that. How have I not heard of that? Why have you not told me about this? Okay. All right, guys, I think we have covered all the questions. Anything that's still looming out there? Because to me, the big issue right now is students who can't use their webcam. And I don't think that's a Schoology / conferences issue. So do we need to figure it out? Yeah, if we
Kelly?
can. Yes.
I've had some issues with my students not being able to use their webcam and their microphone, and I've had to walk them through to press the 2 uppercase A's in the web address, go to website settings, and then camera and microphone and hit allow and done. And it seems like several of my students, their iPads are not saving those settings. So literally it's just something they're going to have to do before they join any conferences, check those settings.
And I saw that memo went out at the middle school level, but it's not really applicable in what we're doing, which is why it's not saving it, because they're web browser settings. And so the only thing that you're able to say is to ask you permission, which Schoology should be doing anyway. But I think what's happening is what you're running into is these, and I've watched it, these kids are click, 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 click. And when they're not allowing it, they then have to go into the web browser preferences to allow it. So I think we're saving those who are kicking themselves out. But I think it's mostly a connectivity thing. And as more, I mean, we have 500 MiFis out there in the community. And I think as more and more get access, we'll have more available to do it. But it's not the magic bullet that we think it is. So I have heard that smaller conferences tend to work better with webcams. So it might be that you have to do some small group one-on-ones with kids who aren't able to do it. Because I know I have some teachers that in a class of 12, that kid can't get their webcam to come on. But when they meet later with that kid, same webcam, same Wi-Fi, with just 2 or 3 students, they can.
I actually discourage students from turning on their webcams, because when I'm recording and those students want to go back, then it's like a privacy issue for me. So I do have them join with the microphone, but not have their camera turned on. And it helps with internet speed too.
Okay. I can't advise going against directive, but I can see the argument there for sure. Because remember that your recording is teacher view. So everything that you see, those who watch the recording see. But I have not heard anything different to that yet. I do know I helped write a media release form. So maybe something will officially come out with that. But understood. I mean, because thankfully I'm on the Paula D side of the house, and so I'm not running into issues, because there's some days I'm like, everyone needs your camera on because we're discussing it. And other days it's like, sit there and hush. I got things to tell you. I don't even need the cameras on. And I do find that on days we don't use cameras, things are a lot more fluid. But then, having a 5th grader, I know he needs that camera on just for the accountability of it. So I don't know. All right. Thank you, guys. And remember, again, next week, I'm going to do a session on assessments, and I'm really excited about it. So I've got to find examples, because it's kind of a pedagogy a little bit below what I normally use. But with the features that we're going to teach next week, you'll be able to do fill in the blank worksheets that are self-gradable. And you'll be able, this is the big one, to do PDF assignments that do not require downloading and uploading, that they can literally with one click write all over it, submit it, and they will see what they wrote, and you will see what they wrote, and the parents will see what they wrote. And then there was a third one in there. Oh, interactive activities. So I know a lot of teachers came to me back in August. I'm Rebecca Johnson, kindergarten superstar, had all these wonderful drag and drop activities, but we can't put kindergartners on Google. But there's going to be ways to take all those great interactive things you found and put them in through assessments so the kids can do them. And I know my elementary teachers are far ahead of me on discovering this, but last spring when that blue puzzle piece showed up and I opened it up and I had to answer like 12 questions before I could even write the quiz, I said, no, thank you, closed it, never opened it again. Didn't need it for my teacher life, but I think a lot of you do. So hope to see you next Friday. And I can't say enjoy your day because it is officially a work day, right? So enjoy your virtual Friday, and reach out to me if you need anything. I know a lot of you are waiting for info and help from me. So I will be here all day. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.